People are here.
All right, so we are officially live. RTD Live Talk, late or early evening, afternoon for you. And so I'm happy to be back for live stream and have a guest with me, returning guest, Mr. Rudy, aka Alaska Prepper, joining us. How you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you, Mike? It's good to see you again, and it's good to be back.
Yes, sir. I am doing well, man. I'm doing well. And so when I thought about all this, the panic, as well as all the historic, just the craziness out here when it comes to just, being prepared or prepping. I remember, last couple years ago, everybody was saying preppers, they're conspiracy theorists, who needs to store stuff. But now people are really beginning to wish they would have done a little bit more prior to this current time frame now. And in my personal opinion, I don't think it has really begun as far as where it's going. But I wanted to check in with you and see how you're doing and some options, alternatives, small things that people can get involved with. So I want to start off with the first question based upon what's happening out in Alaska. Give us a little bit of the rundown of what's going on in Alaska. Is it the same hysteria in your area as it is probably in, Midwest, East Coast? Is it all the same in your opinion?
Well, not really. As my opinion is that Alaska is being very reactive.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pretty much flabbergasted with what's coming out of the state, in addition of what's coming out with certain cities, especially Fairbanks, which is where I live. I live in the Fairbanks area of Alaska, which is up towards the middle north part, right? So in this area right now, the only thing that's going out of the ordinary is that the restaurants are closed down. They're only able to provide you service if you want to order it and pick it up. Or some restaurants will deliver.
Yeah.
All the theaters are closed down. The bars are closed down. All of these places are closed down, but they still have pretty much everything else open. All of the supermarkets, your stores that you go buy food at, they're all open, which I agree with. And from what I understand, I haven't been out in town in the last 3 or 4 days. From what I understand, they're starting to limit the number of people that can go into the store or the supermarket to a certain number at a time, to be able to keep that social distancing that you hear a lot of people talk about. As far as the Alaska State University, Fairbanks, they're shut down, and I believe that they are doing their classes via internet. And all of the schools right now are shut down effective until the 1st of May. And in my opinion, they're not going to be opening back up for the rest of the year. Other than that, as far as me personally, my job is still going, and I'll say that I work for DOD, and I know, shame on me, but hopefully here in the future, I'll be able to give my boss the pink slip. And I'll be free from that rat race. But however, in my job, they're actually, I'm not really having that too much. So I've figured something out with my boss where I can continue to work mainly from home and only having to go to the office 1 day out of the week for the next 2 or 3 weeks to see what happens. I think that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, if not sooner, I think personally that we're going to have a national shutdown where everything is going to shut down, like Italy, just like Italy's going right now. Everything's going to shut down, and we're going to have to stay at home, and only essential services such as medical, grocery shopping, things like that are going to stay open for the people to be able to go and get the things that they need. So that's my opinion. I can't say that I'm an expert in any of this, but I always tell people that my opinion just comes from common sense, and I know how to read and I know how to interpret things when I see them. So,
that's real.
But really right now in Alaska, to tell you the truth, one of the good things about where I live, especially the area where I personally live, is that a lot of the people here are already used to having a supply of goods to last them a while, because it is very common up here that we have electrical outages that last several days, if not weeks or more, right? If you heard last year, they had that earthquake in Anchorage that pretty much messed them up for, I don't know, about a couple of weeks before they can get everything back up.
No, I didn't hear about that.
Did you hear about that last year?
No, I did not. No.
Had that, I think last year, I forgot what month it was, but I think it was October, November last year. Anchorage had like a 7.1 earthquake, and it ended up messing up a lot of their infrastructure. Some of their highways were completely cut off.
Yeah.
And people there were without power and just basic services for a pretty good while. So, you know, being that we live in this environment up here, I can say that up here, the people, for the most part, are somewhat prepared for at least a short term.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they don't follow the herd mentality and go strip the supermarket out of toilet paper just because everyone else does.
Right. One of the things that, you know, as you mentioned a moment ago, like just not forecasting or being a psychic, but just looking ahead at the current trends, using the past as a reference point. And so my personal opinion, and so this 15-day window that we've been given as a window to dial back, and then they introduce the concept of social distancing, I think that's all a part of like probably phase one. And so once this 15 days is up, which is the following week, I think martial law will be declared. And so a lot of people are sending me videos of all this military stuff moving throughout the country and all this type of stuff like that. And so just today, President Trump announced that the National Guard will be in New York City, Washington State, and California. And so I think that this little 2-week window of having people self-quarantine themselves is a way to give the military or whatever operations time to prepare and set up in stadiums around the country and all the FEMA stuff. So I think this is just the beginning of what's coming, because once martial law is declared, I'm hearing stuff about the Constitution being suspended. And so I really believe, apart from just the tremors right now, I still don't think it's really began as far as how bad it possibly could get. So that's why I'm like, we're still at the very beginning phases of how this thing is going to roll out.
Yes, we are. It's funny that you say that, because I was just talking to my wife about an hour ago, and I told her, I said, you know, all of this quarantining stuff, there's got to be something behind this.
Yeah.
And I told her exactly what you were saying. I said, there's got to be something that they're doing behind the scenes that they don't want us out and about. Exactly what that is, I could speculate, and I can put on my tinfoil hat. However, what I think they're doing now is, you know, one of my there you go, Michael. I got to get one of those. Unfortunately, that's not made out of silver, though.
No, it's not. It's straight up aluminum wrapped around the hat.
Well, it'll at least protect you against 5G.
Hopefully so.
So Michael, really, you know, if you want to ask me why I think they're doing this, and I put on my tinfoil hat, this is what I would say. In my personal opinion, now, one of my little hobbies is economics and finances and things like that. And I'm definitely not as well versed on the economics and the financial side or aspect of things as you are, because that's mainly what you do in your channel and what you've been doing for years.
Thank you, sir.
However, I personally think that our economic system, our financial system, I think it's over. I think that it was over in 2008. They put it on a ventilator till now, and now that ventilator is starting to fail, and they don't have a spare ventilator. So right now, all they're doing is trying to pump as much. They're trying to pump as much air into that balloon as they can, because the air somehow or another is coming out. And it took one small thing to prick that balloon. And it's that health crisis that we're going through right now. And I did a video, I don't know, about 3 or 4 weeks ago on my other channel, Alaska Prepper News, where I said that I thought that they were going to use this health issue to blame what's happening to the economy. And that's exactly what they're doing. Everything you hear is the stock market went down because of this. You know, the economy is going down because of this. And in all reality, the system or the powers that be, whatever it is that you want to call it, they already knew this was going to happen. They just needed that one catalyst to blame for what is happening, because the average person doesn't know. And I always say that it's really through not too much fault of their own. Because the average person in this country and in every Western country has been indoctrinated since the time they were children to accept this system as the only system and the best system there is. When in fact, it's a terrible system that, if you are in the know, you would know that it was developed for one reason and one reason alone, to steal your wealth, to transfer your wealth, your manpower, the hours that you spent at work, to transfer that energy from yourself to someone else.
Yeah.
So in the end, I think that there's going to be a lot of have-nots, a very few amount of haves. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, in the middle, there's going to be those that are willing to participate in the police state to enforce the will of the haves onto the will of the have-nots. That's what I think the big picture is about. If I put on my tinfoil hat, that's what I think it's all about. Our system is over. Yeah. It's over. Yeah. They're just figuring out what are they going to do next. Are they going to put us into a electronic cryptocurrency type system? Mm-hmm. Are they going to put us into a sound money system? They don't know yet. But they need to get a reaction from people. First, they have to take.
I think they do know. I think the plan has been in place for quite some time now. It was always a matter of just timing on their part. And one of the big question marks to me, and what bothers me is just now this new divide between those that are the Q supporters that are on the Trump. So it's Q and Trump on one side, and then it's the deep state conspiracy or whatever on this side. And now they have the libertarians going back and forth now as to what's really going on. Is Trump working a magic game plan, or is he a part of the deep state? I mean, all this stuff, man. I'm like, no matter whatever it is, they're not thinking about you and your best interest. So it's either you or it's us versus them. It's not a matter of who's in the political.
Absolutely.
As of right now, I'm looking at the.
And you know what, Michael?
Go ahead.
You know what, Michael? That is what you just said. There is the exact reason why Sun Tzu's Art of War, all right, and The Creature from Jekyll Island and 1984 is not mandatory reading at schools. That is exactly why, because of what you just said. Yeah. Because if every person that graduates high school before doing so read those 3 books, we probably wouldn't be in the problems that we are now. Because this has taken generations. Yeah, it's not a 1-year plan or a 2-year plan. This is a plan that has taken generations to unfold. Yeah. And you're right; they do know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. What I was getting at is which direction will they take it? Will they take it to a crypto type of a currency, or to a monetary currency that's backed by a hard asset, gold, silver, oil, natural resources, etc. I think they want to see what the reply from the people is, how the people react on which one they're going to go with. I think they need to see how the people will react to one or the other to see where they go with the next system. But you're right. They already know what the system is. Yeah. If we are going to have another fiat system that is cash-based, they already have the money printed. Yeah. They already know what's going on. They know what's going to happen. And unfortunately, most people don't.
Yeah. Let me throw something at you real quick. Okay. So it looks like, so there's a position of whether we go on left or right. There's a fork in the road. We're at the fork right now. And so to piggyback on what you mentioned about, I believe they're just literally waiting to unplug the system flat out. Like if like people use the phrase of the Titanic, it sprung a leak. It hit the iceberg in 2008. They've been patching it up, trying to keep it afloat as long as they can. And now this past September with the repo crap that exploded, it actually, they lost control of it. So it's sinking right now. So it's just any minute now before the top goes beneath. Now we hit the road of left or right. I don't think the establishment, those that have ran the system for the last how many ever century plus, want to go backwards. And backwards will be using the words backed. Like backing a dollar, backing some basket of currencies back, because that's going to restrict them. And the only way I can see them trying to do that is because it might instill confidence faster. But mind you, majority of the population has no clue as to what currency or money is. So they don't really care about what's backed by what. They just want to know how will they not starve to death and be able to feed themselves. So I see the introduction of the crypto digital stuff going a lot easier, because I believe personally pretty soon the banking sector is going to lock up as well. And people won't be able to get cash because they're already telling us now that cash could carry could carry the health scare. So they're going to scare the hell out of people. They don't want to touch cash no more. So, what can they back if they can't back cash? So digital something or another, I believe, is in the works probably before the end of this year as a part of this emergency stimulus. Some of that stimulus is going to come on our phone via app from the Treasury or something. I'm thinking.
Sure. Yeah, I believe it. I wouldn't put anything past them now. Yeah. You know, a lot of people were very, and I'm very saddened by this, but a lot of people had the thought that this time it was going to be different.
Yeah.
They really did. And I have this conversation with my brother back and forth all the time. I say, it's not going to be different. You know, it's like George Carlin said, it's a big club, but you and I are not in that club. It's only for a very few select people. It's not going to, you know, my brother keeps telling me, all of these people are going to go to jail, this and that. I'm like, listen, they're not going to go to jail. They're going to find some peon desk worker from JP Morgan, and they're going to blame everything on him, especially for all of the stuff they've been doing with silver for the last 10 years, you know, manipulating the silver market and gold market. They're going to find a little peon that worked in a desk. They're going to go ahead and put that guy in jail, and Diamond, you know, he's going to go ahead and retire with his golden parachute and his millions, and things are going to be status quo just like they were before. And you're right. You know, one of the things, I had a live stream earlier today, and one of the things that I told my community members was that in the end, people will be begging the government to do whatever they have to do, as long as the government can stop the pain. And that is very eerie of something that happened back in the late 20s, early 30s in Germany, where a person was elected with 98% of the vote. Because the people were hurting so much that even though this person's ideas were very radical, they said, I don't care. Just make the pain go away. And for a little bit, the pain did go away, but then it came back even worse. And then we all know what happened after that, if we've studied a little bit of history. So it's very concerning to me.
I'm hearing more and more on an alternative media news buzz about socialism, like with the activity now that the government has taken upon themselves to be the backstop for all these failing corporations. They're literally like once these corporations, and I think I saw something about 30 million Americans might be unemployed within this week or whatever. Once they become the savior of the corporate world, the private sector, and they try to be the savior of the public sector, then that right there in the middle makes government the anchor of our economy and everything in between. And that right there to me means that once they extend themselves by giving out these stimulus packages and universal basic income, they're not going to reel that back in, because people will become dependent upon it. And therefore, our governmental structure will not be the same. And so I want to put some on the screen as well, because when I saw this really made me wonder as to what really is going on. Because I think pretty soon we're going to see even more politicians all of a sudden deciding to quarantine themselves, or all of a sudden coming down with this health scare. And I think that when I see stuff like this, I put on a tinfoil hat and I go way out there with it. I'm like, there's a lot of politicians that's literally getting out of Dodge now because they've either their lives are in danger beyond this health scare, or they don't want to be a part of what's coming. So they're going to pretend to be sick to remove themselves. So, you know, what do you think about this from the political realm?
Well, I've always said, you know, and I kind of upset some people in the past when I say all, but I will say that most politicians are not here for your sake or mine. Right. All right. I would have to say that a few, you know, there's maybe a few good apples, maybe, you know, but I'm even reluctant to say a few. But most politicians could care less about what happens to you or me. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Just take a look and type in senators that sold their stock before the health issue was disclosed to the public. Right? I'm sure you've heard about that, about the 4 senators that sold a lot of their stock in the stock market before this issue became public to the average person. And some of them even bought stock in companies that have an expertise in working from home and providing software and programs that people can use to work from home. So, like I said, it's a big club. You and I ain't in it. So there is absolutely no way that anyone can convince me that this system was made for the people, you know, by the people and for the people. It's obviously not. And unfortunately, not enough people know this. Too many people, unfortunately, are still trying to reach that first rung of the ladder and trying to just stay there and barely survive. And it's not their fault. They just don't have the time or the energy to commit to actually learning what's going on, because their biggest efforts are going to feed their family. Their biggest worries are, how am I going to get, food for my kids tomorrow? They don't have the privilege of having the time to have conversations like we're having. They don't have time to come home and research what's going on in the world after they've worked 16 hours, double shift or 2 jobs. And that's been done for a reason. It used to be a long time ago, maybe 2 generations ago, where one person could provide for an entire family, where your 1 year's worth of wages could buy you a house. So 1 year's worth of wages was equal to 1 house. Now it takes 10, 12 years worth of wages to buy you a house. So, the family has been split up. It's been split up in many ways, and now the family unit that we have now, they're just trying to survive for the most part. They don't have time to learn this kind of stuff, and it's taken its toll not only on our financial system, our economic system, but also it's taken its tolls on our family structure. Something that used to make us very strong. Now it's almost not even there anymore.
Right. I agree. And so one of my concerns is that, and why I'm excited to have you on is because I was trying to think about, the direction ahead right now, because clearly panic has set in, and more people who have not cared, who could have cared less about the political realm, nevertheless the financial realm, more people right now, their ears are open. So they need a little bit of encouragement and hope, and some people out there that can try to point them in a direction that can help benefit them. And I think, you do a great job of definitely educating people how to prepare from a practical standpoint, as far as all the actual things of 1, 2, 3s and all the. So I watch your videos, and you do a good job of putting stuff together and making it make sense for everybody. So I appreciate you for doing what you do. And so one of the things I was thinking about, we have panic on one side, and then you have idea of preparing. So the time for preparing is winding out. And so now people are entering into the panic mode as like, man, can I go get it, whatever I can? But I want to talk about in the middle, which is, I believe, is positioning. So you got the preparing, which is coming to an end, panic is setting in, being in the middle where you can position yourself now. And so you were talking about Costco before we went on air about how they're adjusting the shelves to make it look like there's more there than it really is. So time is winding down. Now, I'm curious to get your thoughts on the positioning aspect. You have the practical things, some of the natural things, and the financial things. What are some things that you would recommend for somebody who's just coming across this positioning concept? What would you throw out there to them?
Well, the first thing I would say, if you're new, as far as hearing, you need to be prepared. If you've never heard that before, if you only have enough food and stuff, I don't like to just say food, but stuff. And what I mean by stuff is everything you use on a daily basis, right? If you only have enough food and stuff to last you a week or 2 weeks, first thing you have to do is come to the realization that that's not enough. Because if you don't wake up to the fact that our supply system is very fragile, if you don't wake up to that fact, you're not going to realize that you need more than what you have. Some people have a week's worth of food, 2 weeks worth of food, and they're very content with that. They're like, that's plenty. There's no way that the system will ever go down long enough where I'm going to run out of food. So first you have to wake up and say, listen, this can happen. What's the probability of it happening? Well, you can decide that for yourself by the research that you do on your own. As far as I'm concerned, the probability of it happening, I don't care, because what I have in the form of food storage, it's not really considered, in my eyes, food storage. It's considered insurance. Yeah. It's just something that I put away just in case. It's like, for example, a lot of people like to argue about having gold or silver put away because it doesn't pay an interest. Well, gold and silver are real money. Real money does not pay interest. All right. Gold and silver is insurance to make sure that whatever wealth you have in that gold coin carries with you forward to whatever new paradigm we end up in. That's what gold and silver is. It's insurance, right? If you're buying it to speculate, then you're just gambling, and you're probably better off just buying ETFs if you're buying gold and silver to speculate, because physical is not going to do anything for you, if you're speculating with it. It's insurance. You have to consider a deep larder or a deep pantry as a form of insurance. What I tell people is this: whatever you eat, whatever you use on a daily basis, make a list and ask yourself, how much of this am I going to need for 6 months? And then make a list of what you need in order to fulfill that order. All right. You're making an order that you need to fulfill. And this is going to take care of your family for 6 months. I would say 6 months at the very minimum. All right. At the very minimum. A lot of people don't know this, but this crisis that's going on, it will end eventually.
Yeah.
But we have some other crises coming up in the next year or 2 or 3 that are really going to affect the availability of food for the common person. All right. So, and that worries me more than what's going on right now, what's going to happen in the next 2-3 years coming up, because that's really going to affect the world and it's going to affect us. I think that what's coming up as far as the food shortage that's going to happen is going to change the way we behave for generations to come. I think that that's going to happen because people are not realizing what's going on in the world of farming, in the world of weather, in the world of natural disasters. I'm not sure if you've heard about the locust swarms that have taken over in Africa, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, all of these places, on that continent over there. They're destroying half year's harvest in 1 day, 2 days. Pakistan has lost more than 40% of their annual harvest to locusts. So, there you go. So that's going to affect us. Right now is springtime, right? In the U.S. This is the time when we're starting to plant. A lot of places in the U.S. are not able to plant right now because their ground is too wet. And if we have another dismal harvest this year, like we did last year, it's going to put us even more into the negative. And Michael, let me tell you what, we are going to have another dismal harvest this year. Not because I want it to happen, but because I'm a realist and I can see with my eyes where things are going. We're going to have another dismal harvest this year. We're going to have another one for next year and maybe the year after. A lot of people don't understand. I'm not here pushing the grand solar minimum, all right? But a lot of people don't understand that we're going into what is called a grand solar minimum, which is a natural cycle of the radiance that the sun puts out or the energy that the sun puts out. And it is going to affect us for probably you and me, Michael, for the rest of our lifetimes. It's going to last 30 to 40 years. Now, we are going to have times in between that 30 and 40 years where we will have a respite of 1 or 2 years where the sun puts out a little more energy, but it's going to get worse and worse as time goes on. And we're going to have to develop new ways in which we can, you can grow foods, like growing foods inside, having indoor farms, because we're not going to be getting the energy from the sun that is required to make the food that we make on an annual basis to feed the world. So this is where conflicts come into play. What do countries do when they run out of resources?
They go to war.
They go find them somewhere else. And sometimes they have to, do bad things to take those resources from other countries. So, we're going into a pretty dark place when it comes to food production. We actually still have time as a world and as a nation to solve some of these issues. But I believe that the top tier of the 1%, they're not interested in solving those issues. They're interested in doing the exact same thing you said before, in dividing us and keeping us fighting against each other so that they can be on top and have control over us. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but I honestly believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, a lot of people will perish, because in order to stay alive, you need calories. And the calories that we get on this earth come from the sun. If the sun is not providing that energy that we need to convert into calories, then how are we going to sustain the same number of lives with fewer calories? It's just a lot of people are going to suffer, unfortunately. And if you start acting now, you can make it through this. I like to say get at least a year's worth of supply of food, at least a year. And some people will say, well, what happens when you run out of food? Well, that's why you get at least a year's supply, because it gives you time to come up with a plan. It gives you time to tell yourself, okay, this is when I'm going to run out of food. What am I going to do between now and then to ensure that I can still provide for my family? That's now, what preparation does, is it gives you time.
Now, amongst, I like this. So what I want to ask you next is your thoughts on apart from the obvious things that you're mentioning about what's coming, I do believe it myself. And so I know that there's a planned order of operation that those in the top tier society have for humanity in general. And depopulation of the earth is one of them. So I think this health scare, once it runs its course, whether it's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, it's going to be something we might deal with forever, similar to like terrorism. Terrorism was 20 years ago, but here we are today. TSA, you can't, so whatever's going to be rolled out is going to be something we're going to have for next how many ever years as a part of our culture moving forward. But amongst all that, I'm of the mindset that as things are crumbling all around us, there are still windows of opportunity. Now, we don't really know what type of windows of opportunity will be out there, but I know because there will be a populace out there that will be in need of something. How can we add value? Like, I'm a big believer in, like, improving your skill sets, finding out whatever your unique gift is to be able to serve it. And I think there's going to be a great entrepreneurial spirit that has to be developed that could be some type of spark in certain patches throughout our country. Now, what are your thoughts on, like, skills and services and entrepreneurship and delivering value, and how do you prepare in that way in your estimation?
Well, Michael, that's a great question, and I'll tell you what, I've told my son this several times. And this is just kidding around, but in a way, it's also true. I told him, no, I'm in an interview. I had to tell my son not to come in here and be messing around because I'm interviewing with you. I've told my son this several times. I said that after the apocalypse, and just playing around with it, after the apocalypse, I said, I'm going to be a baker. Yeah. Because I love to bake. I like to bake breads. I like to bake stuff. I said, that's going to be my new profession. I'm going to be the blocks baker. Yeah. Right. So I always tell people, there's a lot of times where on the comments of some of my videos, some people will say, well, you're very lucky because you have the money to prepare and I don't have the money to prepare and things like that. And I always tell them, I said, look to those things that you can do to improve your situation instead of looking at what your situation is if it's not a favorable situation, right? Yeah. So don't be thinking about the bad things that are in your life, but think about what things you can do to make them better, right? So what can I do to add value to my life or to make my life better and to improve my situation? Yeah. And I tell them there's always something that you can do better than someone else. Right. And, I like to tell them, go and grab your grandmother's banana bread recipe and put out on Craigslist or on Facebook, hey, I'm making 4 banana breads this weekend and I'm selling them for $12 a piece, first come, first serve. And I tell them, I said, you know what, that's about a 400% return on your money and effort. And I guarantee you people will buy it. And if it's really good, even more people will buy it. So I agree with you 100%. We're going to revert to a system where higher education, in my opinion, is not going to be as pushed onto children and kids as much as it is today, but skills, carpentry, electricians, HVAC, farming. Oh my goodness, if you're a farmer or if you're a really good gardener, that's going to be incredible. Medical professions, not necessarily a doctor where you go to medical school for so many years, but EMTs, nurses, dentists, these professions are going to be invaluable, I believe, in the coming years. Lawyers, businessmen, bankers, things like that, forget it. There's going to be absolutely no need for them unless they can learn how to fix shoes, or learn how to fix cars or learn how to fix something. I don't think that they're going to be needed as much as they are now. Well, they're not needed now, but used as much as they are now. Yeah. So having skills is definitely something that no one can take away from you. Yeah, and I think that in a way that's more important than having preps, because a person that is very skillful at doing a lot of things will always earn a paycheck. Yeah. So even if you don't have much and you can't afford to prepare with physical things, if you have a lot of skills, guess what? There's always going to be someone that needs their brakes changed that doesn't know how to do it. Yeah. Always someone that needs a shed built in their backyard that don't know how to do it or doesn't have the time to do it. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's going to be one of the big things going forward, is people getting jobs that don't necessarily require a very high level of education as we know it now. All right. I'm not saying that a carpenter is less educated than a businessman, I actually think that a carpenter is more, because a carpenter needs to know mathematics, geometry. You know, they need to know trigonometry so that they can find proper square. They need to know a lot of hands-on things, whereas a businessman pretty much just looks at charts and takes a look at trends and tries to gamble his or her way to prosperity, where they're not really building anything or creating anything of value. Right. So I hope that answers your question, Michael.
No, it does. It does. And so one thing I love about, you know, being in a position to be able to talk to other people is as you're talking, I'm getting thoughts. So now I'm about to share some of my thoughts. But, you know, one of the things I think it's an untapped skill set in of itself is a person's ability to be able to relate to other people. So communities and communication, I think, will be key in the days ahead, because I believe personally, everybody who's watching right now, it's about 300 or so people watching, everybody has something around them that they're either physically good with using with their hands, or something that they're good at in the form of some pre-God given skill that they already have. Now it's gonna be a matter of taking that, putting it in a community environment and serving people in that community, because everybody's gonna have patches across the country. Now it's a matter of getting into your community, connect. And that's why I'm optimistic that the Made in America will come back, because it's gonna come back in small sections throughout this country here, which hopefully can catch momentum and become a national thing. But there's gonna be some revivals throughout this country in the days ahead. So that's why I'm optimistic overall. But then one of the other things is that which we have not mentioned is the role that they want us to transition into, which is the automation, robotics, AI, algorithms, all that 5G stuff. So they want to lessen our need for hand labor, physical labor, and have us be more consumerism as opposed to producing. So that's why I think, you know, this big push to divide us now is really ramping up, because we're going to be dependent upon whatever they roll out to us, as opposed to being able to still serve one another and want to serve one another. So it's going to be interesting to see how this rolls out. But I'm optimistic and excited, because I think it's going to be a world of opportunity for those that are looking for it. Like, you know, whatever you're looking for out there, you're going to find. Hopefully it's something positive that you're keeping your eye on out there. So I think that's going to be something worthwhile. So but let me check in with the chat. So as always, I wouldn't mind getting a phone call. Okay. I think the last time we were on here, may have gotten a phone call. So for those that are watching, if you have a thought, a question, or a comment you want to share, just dial 313-462-0027 and ask or share your thought, and we'll move from there. Or in the chat, just let us know, and we can go from there. And so while we wait for that, I want to get your thoughts on this stimulus. Okay, well, we have a call, so right in time. All right, let's see what this is.
I want my money now, Michael.
That's what I was talking about. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Anybody there?
My name's Joe. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes. How you doing, Joe? What's on your mind?
So my name's Joe. I'm living right outside Denver, Colorado. Mm-hmm. I'm working for a tech company in a financial role.
Okay.
What type of opportunities do you see in that area, considering the environments and circumstances that could be coming in that industry?
In the financial tech realm is what I heard. Is that correct? You're in the financial realm, but on the tech side, like engineering, or?
Yeah.
So first thing came to my mind is that, you know, knowing that we're heading towards automation.
Work, as a revenue analyst in a tech company.
Okay, as a revenue analyst in a tech company. So you're good with math is the first thing that comes to my mind. So I think personally, you know, looking to take advantage of, like, you know, anything internet based right now would definitely be worthwhile, because any corporation or business will need somebody that can either crunch numbers, or if you can create some type of, you know, software as a service that solves people's problems with calculations or something like that, there will be a lot of opportunity out there. And that's just my initial thought, but I don't know. Rudy, you have any thoughts you want to share?
That's not my forte, Michael. I mean, it really depends on where everything ends. Mm-hmm. If, you know, I mean, I think that if they do push us to a non-cashless system, mm-hmm. that there will be a lot of opportunities. Yeah. I mean, didn't the Treasury just hire one of the high executives from Coinbase?
Yeah. So yeah,
you know, so there may be some opportunities there, depending on what system we end up we end up in? You know, it's kind of a hard one to say. I think that we will end up in the system they want us to end up in. For how long, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll end up in that system that they want us in, that cashless system, but maybe it won't last long. Maybe people will be fed up with it and get tired of negative interest rates, which are coming, and it won't last long. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long it will last or if they would implement it at all. I think they want to implement it for sure because it gives them a lot more control.
Now, let me ask you a question, caller. Based upon the industry you're in now, what are some problems? Are there any problems or anything that in regards to your skill set that you see the masses struggle with that you perhaps might have an answer for or a solution to? Hello?
Well, I would say the biggest things I look at are just sound money and fiscal responsibility. Do you all hear me?
Yeah, we can, yeah. Yep, go ahead. We hear you.
I'm just concerned about all the corporate debt in this country. I feel like someone with my mindset would be well suited to solve that type of problem.
Okay, yeah. So I think the good news is, and I've always heard this, is the best opportunity lies in the somebody's problem or the majority's problem. So whatever problems are arising that really pisses you off, you might be that solution to it. Whatever it is, I'm not sure spiritually where you at, but you know, definitely if there's some out there that bothers you tremendously, then you probably can bring some value to it somehow, some way. So that's just how I look at things for myself. Like there's a problem, I might have a solution for it. Now it's a matter of how can I scale it and make it worth somebody's while to want to use it. So
the Federal Reserve being one of them.
Well, hey, you might be the next one of the members of the federal board or commissioners or something like that down the line. So not sure, man, but not to mean a joke about it, but definitely, you know, find a problem, try to be the solution is what my approach. But I appreciate you calling. We got another call, my friend. Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Couldn't agree more.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So Rudy, don't mean to put you out there like that, but you know, just want to get your
no, that's all right.
Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Maybe have somebody there. Maybe not. All right. So we'll keep it moving. So we missed a couple calls, but we'll make it work. So anyway, but the stimulus, one of the things that concerns me is that, you know, how can you determine a number for a crisis that we don't know the length of? So to say 3,000 per family and they're going to give them billions, like, okay, why not go ahead and give us 5-6 figures and just get it out the way since you're going to run the damn system into the ground would be my thought. But hold your thoughts. We got a call real quick. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Dan from Vancouver, Washington.
Dan from Vancouver, Washington. How you doing? What's your thought or opinion or a question or what's on your mind, my friend?
Yeah, I was just going to say, too, a little bit speaking to what you guys are talking about is that I've called before. I'm an HVAC and refrigeration technician, and I'm in Vancouver, Washington, and so there's obviously a big scare here. The National Guard's here and all that stuff. Not exactly in my city. I'm pretty far from, I'm a few hours away from the hotspots here. But, yeah, my industry is actually not doing terrible because, we're keeping the food cold. And I haven't had any friends in the business or anything like that lose any jobs, and that's just fascinating. We're listed as an essential service. So, not every part of the economy is going to totally get shut down. But I also wanted to just poke some holes in the digital currency idea, which seems a lot of people are worried about, is that I think that the thing that central banks around the world are desperate for is to create inflation. And they've learned by watching Japan and Europe that negative interest rates causes deflation because people save more to make up for the negative interest rates in their banks. So I really don't think that a negative interest rate policy mixed with like some kind of, government crypto or whatever, I just don't see that happening because, first of all, in any collapse of a fiat currency throughout history, they've never solved that collapse of the fiat currency by creating another fiat currency. John Law tried to do that in France, and that failed fast. So if they do try to fix the dollar by creating a separate fiat currency, my feeling is that will be short-lived. They always go back to gold like they just do. And whether it's a small part of the monetary system, I don't think we'll ever go back to a full gold standard, but just the negative interest rate and the crypto thing, I don't see that happening. What do you guys think?
No, so I do see gold in the game plan because China has made sure that they have accumulated lots of it for some reason. So I think Putin and President Xi, they have plans for whatever that next world order is. In order to do business with them, it's going to be gold related. Now, as far as domestically for the citizens, I don't think gold will be in the plan. So I think digitally they might try to roll out something within each country. But when nations do business, it's going to be gold related or gold backed or something like that amongst themselves, but not for the people. What do you think, Rudy?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I agree.
Well, I'll tell you what, Michael, actually talking about negative interest rates, I was looking at the bond market here. I think it was on Friday. And believe it or not, I should have taken a screenshot. Believe it or not, the 3-month went down to like negative 0.017 or something like that. Okay, now I understand what the caller is talking about, negative interest rates, meaning that if you put money in the bank, they're going to give you less than what you put in after a certain number of time, after a certain period of time. But when you think about it, we've been, as savers, we've been at negative interest rates for the last several years.
Yeah.
When's the last time that your savings account paid you more than 1.8% interest? Which is the official rate of inflation according to the Fed for the last couple of years. So if the rate of inflation is 1.8%, right? If the rate of inflation is 1.8% and you're getting 0.10%, you're already receiving negative interest rate on your purchasing power. But I do understand where the caller was coming from as far as nominally getting a negative interest rate. I personally think it's coming, and going back to what I said before, depending on what system they put in, if they put in a system where we do get like negative interest rates, your caller, in my opinion, is 100% right. It won't last long because the people will not put up with it. And then they may have to revert to something else, to their backup plan. But that's just me thinking.
Right. I agree. Well, caller, thank you for calling in, and definitely keep us in tune with what's going on in your neck of the woods, my friend. I'm always curious to hear about what's happening in Washington.
Thanks a lot, Mike. I appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Be good. Thank you. All right, we have another caller here. A couple more calls, Rudy, then I'll let you go so you can respect the rest of your day. Hello, caller. How you doing? What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, brother? It's Church Ave Dan from the chat. I called in a couple of days ago from Brooklyn, New York.
Yes, sir. Give me some. Well, I remember you mentioned it wasn't much positive out there in Brooklyn, but give me the rundown, man. We'll keep us informed.
Listen, man. Whatever these guys are saying in any of these other states, whatever numbers they're saying, these people are not counting all the mental health that are out here coughing, walking in stores. I mean, bro, it's bad, man. Like these guys gotta sincerely do something. Like, I mean, everyone is gonna get sick here, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling. I don't care what they're saying. This is gonna be 100%. They can't even control. NYPD can't even control 2 small Hasidic communities that they were having weddings with. I don't even know how many people. They could even control that. So how are you gonna really start controlling mobs of other people?
Yeah.
Like, this is getting really bad, bro. Really on hand. Like, I can't even go outside, bro. I'm literally going outside in the middle of the night just shopping because you don't even want to be out right now, bro. It's really bad, man. Like, people can't find masks. There's no, like, it's not good, man. Like, I don't know what people are seeing somewhere else, but it's not good, man. Like, every time you go outside, though, someone's coughing, sneezing, everyone's looking, everyone's scared of death, everyone's yelling at each other. You know, people fighting, people are stealing. You know, this is like, I don't see any cops, bro. Between me and you, I think the cops are scared about getting this virus themselves.
I don't doubt it, and that's
I don't see them anywhere.
I've seen,
and I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I understand, but you know, something here's got to be done, man.
Have you seen troops or military? I saw some videos of some militarized vehicles look like they pulling up in different areas. Is that something you've seen, or is that just some small clips, or is that not true?
You know what? I think these are all old videos they're showing people from last year or whatever the hell these things are. Because I haven't seen anything in the 5 boroughs, man. I just had called some of the Bronx. I don't see anything there. I don't, you know, but I'm telling you, man, this is getting really, like, people are going to start dying, man. Like what we have in Italy by the hundreds, this is going to be by the hundreds or by the thousands.
Mm-hmm.
This is.
Hey, man,
it's bad, bro. It's really bad, and I'm telling you, just all the homeless in general, man. The homeless are all over everywhere. Like they started letting these people out on Rikers Island.
Yeah.
You know, people are contaminated. They'll let them out. You know, MTA workers are contaminated already. 30, 40, 50 of them that we already know about.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing's. I don't even understand, bro. Like I don't understand what they've been waiting for. Like.
Yeah.
You know, people are trying to get into hospitals. Hospitals are sending them back home.
Yeah.
They're sending old people back home, basically. You know, to go die in their houses. You know, I don't understand who the hell says they're doing a good job. They got stuff under control, but this is all lies, man.
Yeah.
You know, you guys got to start getting water. Get the shit you need. I'm sorry for curse. Get the stuff you need now and bunker down. Don't go outside. Don't invite your friends over.
Mm-hmm.
This is no joke, man. This is really no joke.
Yeah. Well, hey, I as always, man, it's good to hear your voice. Good to see that, you know, hopefully you're doing well and your family's doing well, man. Keep us informed and, you know, of course, just do the best you can. And like I always say, man, like, you know, out of all this is outside your door might be bad, but try to find something good within, you know what I'm saying? And hold on to that because that's your anchor right there, my friend. And so, yeah. Yeah, man, I hear you, bro.
Like I said, I just got my faith, and I'm fortunate enough that I'm like I said, I'm basically bunkered down. And you know, these last 2 days, I saw what it is, so I've been bunking in. You know, I'm gonna ride this out, but hopefully we just get some good luck headed our way, man. Yeah. And God bless everyone here. God bless everyone in every state all over the world. Yeah. And that's really it, fellas.
All right, my man.
Have a great night.
Appreciate you. Be good. Thanks for calling. Keep us informed, man. Thank you.
Man, that's tough.
All right, Rudy, we're going to do one more because we can probably be here for a while, but we'll take this call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. I'm sorry, what's your name? What's your name?
Miles. I'm calling from NY.
Miles from NY. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, I had a question for you guys, all right? What's the plan? I know we talk about transition and how things are going to go and have skills and looking to the bright side in order to come out, you know?
Yeah.
Looking at it, what's the plan for the team? Because we know this is a team sport. One person can't do it, and the way you got it set up is just not possible. What are you just got plans for your family, like for the children, teaching them their home now, what type of skills should we learn, what type of things should they be into? As a team, you know, I'm looking at it like this, in all honesty. If you're not ahead of the curve like us, that's already go out and work your field and we have our set skills, you're basically lost.
Yeah.
What could you do to lead for the next generation so they may have get a somewhat of a running story? I'm going to get too much time, guys. A great thing.
Appreciate you. Thank you, my friend. Thanks. Great question. Thank you. Well, Miss Rudy, good question by the caller there. Do you want to share your thoughts and I'll chime in as well? As far as, you know, how can we, based upon what we have now, prepare our future generations to have a little bit better?
I'm sorry. Can you say that again, Michael? It came in broken up.
No problem. So his question was based upon all the things like, so he's aware of what's going on. You know, he's been preparing, taking some steps to better himself off, but yet, and for our children, for the youth, like based upon right now. So like, is there anything in particular you're sharing with your children, or how can you better position your children for the future based upon all the circumstances we have now? I believe something like that.
Well, Michael, I came home the first time that they really hit silver hard, where it went down from like 19 to like 16 and then $14, you know, a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
I came home and I was talking to my wife about that. And a few minutes later, my 13-year-old daughter came up to me and said, "Dad, was I hearing you right when you said that silver got knocked down?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she said, "What did it get knocked down to?" I'm like, I was really excited. I told her, I said, it got knocked down to like $14 and change.
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, you know, I have a few $100s. Can you buy me some silver?" And I was overjoyed with that question. And of course I did. And that's where I come into teach your children what they need to know, whether it's popular or not.
Yeah.
When I first started teaching my son and my daughter about silver, especially my daughter, every Christmas, I give my son and my daughter silver for their Christmas present. I give them silver for their birthday present, right?
Yeah.
And as you know, the PFD here in Alaska, which is not UBI, all right? So don't get it confused with UBI. It's not. The PFD here in Alaska gets paid out in October of every year. Well, my daughter gets a PFD as well, and I consider that her money. My wife and I consider that her money. We don't invest it for her or anything like that. But one of the restrictions that I have on that money is that she has to spend at least 1/3, if not 1/2 of it on silver every year. And for the first couple of years, it was a struggle because she would tell me, I don't want real money. I want fiat currency because I can spend it at Walmart. All right. She literally told me that. But it's because she knows what fiat currency is. She knows where it comes from. She knows what real value is. She knows what money is, and she's 13. We have to educate ourselves and teach our children, not what's written in books that they tell you to read at a high school or a college where most of the good stuff has been stripped away, but what is real and what is true. And in order for you to understand what that is, you have to educate yourself. So first, you need to educate yourself so that you can then educate your children so that maybe in a generation or two, we won't find ourselves in the same predicament that we find ourselves in now. I agree. That's my 2 cents on that.
And I'm in the same mindset as well, man. Like, me having lived in this alternative media, self-education is the most important education. Like, and so one of my first ebooks was the fact that I went through 19,000 hours of in-class learning to learn nothing of real importance. So I've been telling my children for the last couple of years now, like, when you go to school, it's not what you're learning. It's just the effort you're putting forth. Like give your best effort.
Right.
Because most of the stuff you learn, you're not going to remember anyway. And you really don't need most of it anyway. So to use these lessons to put forth effort. Now, what are you interested in? What are you good at? And all that stuff like that. I try to encourage them. But the biggest thing is, like, right now, I tell my children to try to wind down based upon all the comforts you used to have. Like, don't expect tomorrow to be the same way it was yesterday, because it's more than likely not. Now, with this downtime now of not having to go to school because everybody's out for school, how can you use this time for your betterment? Like right now, you can get more done on your own based upon what you want and what you enjoy than rather being told what you got to do by sitting and looking at a damn dry erase board. You know what I'm saying? So, self-education has been my greatest tool. And so having books, I mean, I'm a big believer in books. Books have everything we need in it to educate ourselves and to better our future. So my kids are stubborn, but then they see. I try to be that example. If I'm that example, then they'll want to follow suit. So, be the example and the change that I want to be.
Well, I just purchased a small hydroponic system, and it's going to be a great thing to have during this downtime to learn how to use it and learn how to grow food indoors with my daughter, and my wife and whoever, and even if my son wants to participate. So it's something that we're going to do, that we're going to learn how to do. Never done it before. But we can learn from it, and it'll actually do something that's good for us in the future. So you never know. In 2 years, the only fresh food that you will be able to afford could be that food that you grow yourself. There will still be fresh fruit in the supermarkets, but I'm thinking that many people will not be able to afford to go to the supermarket and buy a head of lettuce or tomatoes or what have you. And learning how to do that now in your own home, to me, it's invaluable because it's a skill that you'll have for the rest of your life. So you just have to take the time to actually get to know your kids. I tell my kids all the time, I'm kind of a goofy and a pain in the butt dad. I'm like both of them combined. I like to be goofy because I like to have fun with my kids because, when I was growing up, my dad was always working. So I always tell people I didn't really get to know my father until after he retired. Not because he wasn't around as a father, but because he was fulfilling his commitment to take care of his children by working 2 or 3 jobs. I've been very blessed in my life to where I can actually know my kids and they can actually know me. So I'm always goofing around with them. But I like them to know who I am, and sharing projects like that and doing things together. I don't know if I've told you in the past, but my son and I built the house that we live in, and we've never built anything in our life. You know, so that's time, that's time that I spent with my son that is truly invaluable.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on that because, 50 years from now, he's going to be talking to his kids, telling them, yeah, I remember when we were building your granddad's home and he fell off the second floor and I thought he died. He'll be telling them stuff like that. And those are memories that we've shared that can't be taken away. So, in addition to teaching your kids, get to know your children. Why do we have kids, Michael, if we just want to send them to school and then eat dinner with them and that's it?
Yeah.
That's a
good point.
Sometimes I aggravate my kids because I like to goof around with them, but that's good. It's good. I tell them a lot of times, man, I wish my dad was able to spend time like this. And even if he got on my nerves, like I get on your nerves, I wish he would have done that. But that's the thing right now, the system is raising our children for the most part. And I can't put the blame of that too much on the parents because what are they going to do? Pay, $1,200 a month for childcare? If they don't go to public school and et cetera, it's the system was built in a way that we have to conform to it. If not, we have to suffer. Yeah. So spend time with your kids, do things with your kids and teach them. Teach them the way of the world, the way as you see it, not the way that some textbook in school tells it, because those textbooks, for the most part, are missing out the things that are important that we need to know, and they don't want us to know. So,
right. Ooh, well, hey, Alaska Prepper, man, we've been over an hour, and as always, it's good to connect. I appreciate you taking time to join us. Is that so? We missed a couple phone calls, so we could be here for a couple hours.
And we didn't even talk about prepping. We didn't even talk about prepping.
We're gonna have to do it again,
I do have one tip. I do have one prepping tip that I think is pretty important to put out today, if you'd allow me.
Go ahead, my friend.
All right, so when you turn on the TV and you see people piling water and taking cases and cases of water. Yeah. All right, so yes, it's important to be prepared with water, ladies and gentlemen. We all need it to live, right? Mm-hmm. But instead of spending hundreds of dollars on cases of water, why don't you put water away from your tap into jugs and then buy yourself a good water filter? And you'll always have the water there that you put in jugs that you only paid 1/100th of a penny per gallon for, and you'll have a good water filter to use to filter that water should you ever need it. And you can pick yourself up a really good water filter. It's called a Sawyer Mini for about $22. And it's a very good product. I've used it in the past. And for someone who's on a budget, it's a great product for $22. It will last you for the rest of your life. So consider doing that instead of buying 500 bottles of water. Not only will you save plastic, but you'll save a lot of money and still get a quality product once it goes through that filter.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's a valuable tip. I appreciate you for sharing that. So once again, I mean, as of now, as this thing moves forward, time will be a little bit more plentiful for a lot of people. So we definitely going to try to connect again. And so one of my biggest concerns that I didn't really hit on is that one of my suspicions is that come end of April, we may have some internet interruptions, but I'm gonna save that for different broadcasts. I think a part of the plan is to cut off the alternative perspective so that the mainstream can control the narrative from the overhead broadcast, because internet is a threat to the powers that be, because it allows us to assimilate via internet. So they don't want that as well, I think. So, so we'll make adjustments as always. But do me a favor, for those that may have come across for the first time, tell them where they can find you at. Tell them some of the things you talk about and point them back towards you to be a blessing to you.
All right. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't given this a thumbs up, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and help Michael out for the time and effort that he puts into his channel. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, please do. I see a lot of community members from the Alaska Prepper communities. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not subscribed here, please do. I've been subscribed to Michael for years, and the information that he puts out is invaluable. Not only that, he puts it out in a way that you can understand. All right. Another thing, thank you very much, Michael, for having me. I enjoy coming on here a lot, same as last time. I'm a very simple person. You can find me at Alaska Prepper on YouTube or Alaska Prepper on Facebook, and that's it. I don't have Twitter. I don't have all these other things. I have no idea what they even are. So I have Alaska Prepper on YouTube. Oh, and I also have Alaska Prepper News on YouTube, which is kind of like a little side news channel that I do a video once or so a week.
Yeah.
And that's about it. But to tell you what you're going to find in our community, the most valuable asset that the Alaska Prepper community has is the community members. Because the truth is that I've learned more from my community members than I've showed on my channel. All right.
Yeah,
so we have a great open community. The people on there are people that want to help each other. They don't take joy in knocking each other down. Instead, they try to pick each other up and help each other out. Let me tell you one quick thing, because I'm so proud of this that I want to share with other people. So here, a few weeks back, I announced that I was going to give away $100 to 3 families because in these times, some families need a little bit of help to get prepared, right? So I opened up giving away $100 to 3 families. Well, in less than a week's time, I had 3 community members come forward. 2 of them donated $100 and 1 donated $300. So it started out with us giving $300 to 3 families to $800 to 8 families. So that's the kind of community that you can expect in the Alaska Prepper community. We're there to help each other out, and we're not there to kick you down. We're definitely there to help you out and to answer any questions that you may have that may allow you to get better prepared for the future. And it looks like a lot of the experienced preppers that are in my community help other people a lot as well. So it's a great community to be in. I'm very proud of it. And I'm very proud of it because the people that are there are real people, good people that want to help out. So you can find me at Alaska Prepper. Come on over, check it out. I like to talk a lot and my videos are boring. So I'm warning you in advance.
Oh, man, but good content, good information as always, man. So, Rudy, once again, thanks for joining me. Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us, and hope you enjoy this. Check them out and subscribe and thumbs up. Share this information because it's all meant to be somewhat of a light and inspiration for people, because I don't really preach the doom and gloom. I just try to say that there's always some things happening around us, but yet we can be individual change for our lives, our families, and everything else. So I can rant forever myself too, Rudy. So I got to stop myself sometimes. But anyway, be blessed. Have a good night. See you guys later. Tomorrow, I got a couple interviews tomorrow. So make sure you come back for tomorrow and come ready to learn. So peace.
All right. God bless.